everybody, and welcome to the Joe Somebody Show, the show on the internet that serves absolutely no purpose. But we're going to try to give it some purpose with this new format. This new format is something referred to as podcasting. These podcasts, I'm basically recording the audio, and I'm going to take the audio, I'm going to post it onto my blog, which is then syndicated through a feed burner and then onto iTunes and hopefully some other outlets, so we can build the audience. And yeah, I've just always been interested in podcasting, but I've never actually done it. So welcome to episode 1 of the Joe Somebody Show podcast. I bought some new equipment. I've got a new microphone. I have a shock mount coming for it because if I tap on my desk, you're going to hear that in the audio. It's extremely sensitive. But I did buy this microphone specifically for this purpose, and I hope that it's decent sounding audio. I'm not an audio engineer. A lot of the things I will tell you I am. One of them is not an audio engineer. I've always been interested in good, pristine, quality audio, but I'm not sure that I'm doing everything 100% right. As a matter of fact, this is probably the 5th attempt I've made at recording just this podcast because the first few I messed up and they didn't work. So, I do intend on having a co-host on here as often as possible, whether it be my wife, who tends to be a little bit shy, but if you guys ask nicely enough, I might can talk her into getting on here and giving her opinion on some stuff, as well as a friend of mine who has been in the IT industry for a long time. That's how I met him, so we're both very tech-savvy people. So we'll be probably talking some tech and computer stuff, phones, that kind of stuff, as well as maybe some car stuff, news, whatever strikes my fancy, I guess, at the moment we'll talk about. And of course, I'm going to be talking about some cruise and vacation type stuff because I know that there's a lot of people that are already subscribed to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JoeSomebody1986. Some of you may be watching this there, and hopefully this is making it out to people through iTunes or other methods, and you can go check out my channel as well. But I forgot what I was saying. Podcasting is hard. I don't care what anybody says. It's not as easy as it looks. So, anyway, the first thing that I want to talk about today is going to be something that is related to cruising. As a lot of you probably have seen on my YouTube channel, we did a cruise last month leaving out of Miami, and we had an extraordinary time. I did a whole video series on just that cruise, and that is posted on my channel. I keep giving myself these shameless shout-outs. You guys know that I have a YouTube channel. Focus. But anyway, so I did the video series, and we came back, and all was good. But lo and behold, today I got a very interesting letter in the mail from Florida. As a lot of you probably know, when you drive down to Fort Lauderdale or Miami, any of the places in southern Florida, you probably are going to take the Florida Turnpike for the majority of the trip. The Florida Turnpike being a toll road with toll booths, every so often. And as far as I know, I stopped at every toll booth that I saw and I paid my toll. They also offer a thing called Sun Pass. It's like a prepaid toll situation where you can just, basically fly on through without stopping. They have separate lanes for the Sun Pass. We didn't do Sun Pass. And but we did stop and pay the tolls everywhere we saw to pay tolls. The letter that I got today basically told me that we had neglected to pay not one, but 2 tolls for $1.20 some odd each at the same toll plaza So that means on the way down there and on the way back, apparently, somehow, we missed a toll. And me and my wife discussed this and decided that that is complete and utter crap. There is no way. I mean, we were extremely careful about this. We paid attention. Every time we came to a toll booth, we made sure we were in the correct lane. We made sure that we had correct change, albeit one time I did drop the change onto the ground, but we paid the tolls. So, like all good situations, there was a miraculous phone number shining on the little bill. First of all, let me tell you this: neglect to pay the bill would result in them issuing me a citation. I know, for $2 and something, right? So, I did call the number on the bill and politely asked the lady what the crap her problem was. Now, I explained to her the same thing, that we made sure that we paid our tolls. We were very careful to make sure we were in the correct lane. We did not use the SunPass lanes, nothing of that nature. Excuse me. We stopped and paid our tolls everywhere that we saw that we should. And even though they did attach a nice picture of my car, including the tag and the tag number, I just explained to her that I didn't understand how this could have happened. So she was very polite, and she explained to me that Florida is actually moving towards a toll boothless toll road system. And basically, you're not going to have the option to stop and pay somebody. They want the traffic to keep moving, and so your only choices are going to be to buy the SunPass and do the prepaid tolls, or you can fly through it and let it take a picture of your tag and send you a bill in the mail. And apparently, somewhere on the Florida Turnpike, on this toll road, there's already at least one of these toll booths there. So we went through it on the way down and on the way back, and simply not having the SunPass meant that they got to send us a bill in the mail, and we have to pay it. So the beauty of it is we could pay it online. We could call the number. Since I was already on the phone with the lady, I just paid it that way. But we got charged a wonderful $2.50 worth of an administrative fee. And I even told the lady, I said, I don't really understand. I didn't know this was even a thing. I don't live in Florida. Most of the people that use the toll road don't live in Florida. That's, I guess, why it's a toll road, because we use the road to get to Miami, to get to cruise terminals and stuff like that. It's not fair for their local taxpayers to have to pay for those roads for people from out of state to primarily use. I get that. But it's not fair that I had no idea that was a thing, that they were going to require SunPass or take a picture of my tag and send me a bill in the mail. Lesson learned. But yeah, they got to tack on $2.50 administration fee for basically them having to send me a bill, for them chasing that money that I didn't even know any other way, any other method of going about doing it. I didn't know. I would have done it. So yeah, moving on to other things, I want to talk a little bit about some technology while we're doing this show today, and I want to talk about the new smartphones that are out. I think is a good topic for right now. I personally have the Samsung Galaxy S4. I love it. I came from an iPhone. I loved my iPhone when I had it. I did get away from the iPhone before iOS 7 came out. And the reason I feel like that's an important thing to say is my wife still had her iPhone and was using iOS 7. And every time I looked at it, I just cringed. I don't know what it was about iOS 7, but it just didn't sit well with me. I'm an IT person. Like I said, I've been doing computer stuff for 10 years. I had a smartphone before a lot of people, and I just felt like iOS 7 was not good. Really. Really not good. I moved directly from the iPhone to the Samsung Galaxy S4. I love the Samsung. I love the amount of customization you can do, custom widgets and gadgets and things of that nature. It's just an outstanding device. It's fast, beautiful screen, full 1080p resolution on the screen, and I really haven't had that many problems with it. I was looking forward to the 4.4 release of Android. I believe I don't know what their obsession is with naming the Android operating systems after food. I don't know that I get that. I should look that up one day. But 4.4 Kit Kat, I was looking really forward to that and downloaded it, got it on my device, rebooted the device, and honestly, I had a hard time telling what was new. I could not just simply tell what was different. I noticed some color changes across the top. The battery indicator was no longer green; it was white. But I didn't know what was new. I was like, what was the point? So I actually had to look up on the internet to see what was new, and honestly, even now, I can't remember. So 4.4 added stability to what was already a fantastic phone. The Galaxy S4, I just can't speak highly enough about it. So 4.4 maybe added some stability. To me, it affected my battery life. I don't know if that's an official thing or not, but my battery life has seemed worse since going to 4.4. The other day, my wife got the Galaxy S5. She went from the iPhone 4 to the Galaxy S5. That was a huge deal for her. I had been telling her ever since I got rid of the iPhone, this is where it's at. I don't know if it's all newer Android devices. I had used some older Android devices. Again, being an IT person, I see a lot of phones. I have people in businesses that want to set them up to their email servers and get their email on them. And it was really weird at first. I hated the way Android functioned. They were all pretty different from each other. So it wasn't like, oh yes, I know how to set it up on an Android, let me help you. It was more of a, I've done one before, so maybe I can do this one, but it's very, very different. But the Galaxy S4 was marvelous from the get-go. I loved the layout of everything. The 4.4 upgrade, though it didn't add a whole lot that was noticeable, it also didn't take any of that away. It's a fantastic phone. So I was really, preaching very highly to my wife about how easy it is to use. You're going to love the big screen. It's just going to be something amazing for you to do. So she finally bit the bullet and she went and got her new phone. She got the S5. She absolutely loved it. There is a learning curve to it. Getting used to having a bigger device, especially for her, to be able to text and everything. It's a different size. Your hand has to hold it in a different fashion. The way the apps work is a little bit different. A lot of stuff between the iPhone and the Android phones is different. So there was a learning curve, but she kept a smile on her face the whole time. And she kept telling me how much she loved the phone. Partially because it was new, I'm sure. And she was having some issues with the iPhone 4 freezing up and stuff like that. But she's converted. She is now an Android lover. Let me tell you this. I have the S4. She has the S5. I don't know the difference between the two. I know that sounds really dumb, but hers has like a heart rate sensor. It's water resistant in like 3 feet of water for up to 30 minutes or something. I mean, it's got some really novelty stuff on it. It's got a slightly larger screen. It may even be slightly faster than my phone. But ultimately, I can't see enough of a difference between the Galaxy S5 and the Galaxy S4 to justify me getting a new device. On Also, I did notice they've taken away some of the features. For instance, in the Galaxy S4, you had all these gestures. They were acting like that was going to be the next big thing. Gesturing, waving your hand over your phone to light up the screen and display whether you had messages, stuff like that. I noticed a lot of the gestures are actually missing from the S5. So I don't know if that's something that's flopped or was a little ahead of its time, but it's now missing from the S5. So honestly, I don't see any reason for me to migrate from what I've got to the S5. Maybe I'll change my mind about that at some point. If my phone did have some sort of catastrophic failure and I had to get a new phone, I would probably get the S5 versus getting another S4. But I don't know that there's a reason to migrate from an S4 to an S5. And going from the Samsung Galaxy S3 to the S4 was not a huge difference for people. I personally didn't have an S3, but the friend of mine that may be helping co-host this show, he has the S3 currently. And between his S3 and the S4, not a huge difference. Between the S4 and the S5, not a huge difference. But I guarantee you, if you compare the S3 directly to the S5, that's a pretty significant change. That tends to be the trend in phones and devices. But I'm aiming to keep these shows somewhere in the 15 to 30 minute time frame. I'm not really sure exactly if I'm doing everything right, so I'm going to take this opportunity to stop the show for today. But before I go, I want to let everybody know, if you're tuning into this through iTunes or some other podcast syndication method, that is wonderful. That means I've done everything correctly. And you can check out more information and the video to this podcast, as well as all the other 215 or so videos that I've put out on the internet on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/joesomebody1986. You guys can communicate with me. Twitter is probably the best way to do it. Twitter at joesomebody1986. I have a website, my blog, which is just simply thejoesomebodyshow.com, with all my contact information on there. So let's conversate. You tell me what you want to talk about. We'll talk about anything. I mean, anything. We can talk about cruises, relationships. I'll give you advice, opinions, whatever you want to do, and we'll do it right here on this show. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind having some guests on the show to talk about whatever's on your mind, whatever you want to share. So if you're interested in being a guest on the Joe Somebody Show, go to my website, thejoesomebodyshow.com, find the contact page and the information, and get in touch with me. I will respond. That's one good thing about me. I may not be a top-notch video maker on the internet. I may not be a top-notch podcaster, but I do read and answer just about every piece of correspondence that I get. I have a P.O. box, people. I do snail mail. If you want to send me snail mail, it's on the contact page. Until next time, I am Joe Somebody. This has been episode number 1 of the Joe Somebody Show, and I appreciate you listening and watching.